Good afternoon, everybody. Oh my goodness, this is the first time we're live on Kaiju Galaxy. I'm really kind of nerding out here quite a bit. We're hoping to do more live streams here on Kaiju Galaxy in the future, and I think that it's a pretty good time to do that, especially since there's so much Godzilla stuff happening, especially with regard to the new upcoming Legendary Pictures Godzilla film and then the anime Godzilla films. So I am joined today by my dear friend Ellen Samuelson, and we together manage Kaiju Galaxy. And hello, Ellen.
Hello, and hello everyone.
We are joining forces from opposite sides of the world, and we're making this work. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Um, so I feel like the first thing that we probably want to do is gush a little bit about the um, Godzilla King of the Monsters trailer. I know I've probably watched it like 1,000 times at this point. My roommates are kind of like, really, Donny, because like every day I'll play it at some point during the day and be all like, oh, it's so amazing. So, um, Ellen, I want to know because we've had some conversation about your reactions to it, but I want to hear more about what you thought about the trailer because obviously everybody has been on the hype train over the past week. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, my initial reaction was kind of muffled because I got home like late, and like on my way home, like everybody was Facebook was blowing up about the trailer. And I'm like, I want to watch it. So I got home and watched it, and yeah, just blown away by it, but quietly.
Right, right. Were there any specific points in the trailer that you like felt yourself like flailing or squeeing or being mind boggled in every conceivable way?
Um, I don't know. I think Rodan's reveal was my favorite part because I've just got a thing with Rodan right now.
Oh, the reveal where he's like standing on top of the volcano, that was really awesome. I kept seeing people being like, "Oh, I want to make that my desktop background." And I'm like, "I know that it looks like a perfect picturesque background." So, what else? What other things impressed you with the trailer? Specifically like scenes and stuff.
Uh, Mothra's design is going to be really interesting.
Oh my god. I'm glad that you mentioned that. So, Mothra, we all know that Mothra be my queen, like she's my girl. And when I saw Mothra, I think I may have peed a little bit. Like I am fairly sure I may have peed a little bit or wept. One of the two, I couldn't tell the difference. So, I mean, we really didn't get to see many intricate details of her design because she was being concealed behind the waterfall, and I'm fairly sure they probably did that on purpose because they like to tease us in every conceivable way. Um, but I mean, I gathered the fact that she's some sort like I mean, we know that she's bioluminescent in some way. That is like her special property, right? And you can kind of see that in that scene because her wings are luminescent, which I thought was really cool. Oh, speaking of the properties of the different monsters, like if you go on that Monarch website, right, you can see that um, each of them have like their own specific set of properties. Like Mothra is bioluminescent, Rodan is like what is the formal word for it? Well, I mean, he's volcanic in some way, but he has like volcanic blood or something, like lava blood, magma blood, something. And then King Ghidorah is bioelectrical, which I thought was pretty cool sounding. So what do you think is going on with Rodan? Like, what is? I mean,
um, like with just what we see in the trailer, or
yeah, with what we see in the trailer, and like maybe, I mean, what are your speculations about like his biology, like his powers, things like that?
I actually don't know. I haven't really thought that far. Uh, Like, really, the only thing that I can say is that I hope that they somehow, um, what's the word? Kind of just like have subtle hints back to like 1956.
Uh-huh. Like what?
Um, I don't know. Appearance wise, I'd like black eyes again.
That would be
But
really cool.
yeah, just like some substantial story about the volcano and maybe some meganulons.
That would be okay. So I was thinking that too, because the director, I think his name was Mike Doherty, right? The director stated that there's going to be more monsters in the film outside of just the main four. So I'm hoping that we do get to see some Meganulon. Um, that I mean, it would be really cool to see them kind of hint back to the original Rodan movie. I mean, there are a couple scenes in the trailer where Rodan is destroying Washington D.C. And I remember there was a scene where he's like flying over, and his sonic booms are like literally laying waste to buildings and houses and things like that. So like I'm wondering if they're going to label his abilities as being like sonic related or if it's going to be something different. I'm not sure. What do you think?
That's interesting. Because I don't know, like being volcanic, he could have some like influence over, like some minor influence over tectonics, and maybe that could be somewhat related to the sonic boom of classic Rodan, but it could also just be sonic booms.
That's really interesting. I didn't think of that. Like maybe I mean it looks like the way they're creating these monsters, they all have some sort of connection to some form of natural phenomena that we see, right? Like
Yeah.
Rodan is clearly connected to volcanism in some way. Um, I never use that word, volcanism, in some way. Um, King Ghidorah has like obviously some sort of connection to uh, like electricity, or maybe like I was thinking for King Ghidorah, maybe he's going to have some sort of manipulation over electromagnetic fields, which may be why his offensive beams will be called gravity beams. I don't know. I know the director in one interview said he corrected somebody because some interviewer was like, "Oh yeah, King Ghidorah spouts like electricity or lightning from his mouth," and the director was like, "No, it's they're called gravity beams. It's not just regular electricity, right?" And I was just like, "Hmm." Hmm. So I don't know. I was contemplating that, and obviously we see that Mothra has, um, since she's bioluminescent, she has the ability to create blinding light or potentially turn her ability into like some sort of offensive weapon. I'm not entirely sure. I'm really interested to see how that's going to go. So, before you get me on a Mothra tangent, which you know is super easy to do, I don't know why I have a pen. Um, let's talk a bit about King Ghidorah for a few minutes. So, obviously, there's a huge amount of hype surrounding him because he is quite possibly one of, if not Godzilla's most nefarious nemesis, right? So, what are your initial thoughts about him?
Well, we don't really see him much. And I don't know, I do hope that he just kind of becomes the center menace of the movie in some way. Like, I actually watched Ghidorah the Three Headed Monster today for the first time in years.
Oh my god, I love that movie so
There's so
much.
much comedy in that movie, I forgot.
I know it's the first Godzilla movie where we actually get to see the monsters talking to each other. No, that was really awesome. I might watch that later today just for fun. Um, but I'm glad you mentioned that because um, there's been a lot of speculation about who is the protagonists, who's the antagonists, yada yada yada. So you're hoping that King Ghidorah will be the primary antagonist based on the trailer, since that's really all that we have to, bank on at the moment with regard to information. Who do you think? Do you think it's going to be the same situation as Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, or do you think um, King Ghidorah may not be the only antagonist? What do you think?
What I'm thinking slash maybe hoping um, is King Ghidorah first appears to be the antagonist, and then it's like something or someone else.
Hmm.
Like King
Such
Ghidorah
as?
could still be bad, but not like so bad.
So are you thinking that maybe King Ghidorah will also maybe join forces with the other three to defeat something even bigger?
Mm, hard to say, because like he's never teamed up with anyone before except for Gigan.
Right. Well, unless you consider Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, that movie,
Right,
which
I actually forgot.
right. I mean, it's a very unique film.
Yep.
Because I mean, there has never been a point where we've ever seen Mothra and Ghidorah join forces together, but in that one we did. So I think a lot of the confusion. I mean, I feel like the confusion is understandable at this point since we're not as close to the release date as we would like to be.
Yeah.
But I know upon watching the trailer, it's really difficult to determine what the exact storyline is going to be. Like, we get the idea that um, instead of being utterly terrified of the monsters, people seem to be kind of awestruck by them. Like, they seem to be more of like these sublime creatures, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if most of the entire movie is just going to be all of them battling for supremacy, right? Or if they will join forces. I would really like to see them, especially Rodan, Mothra, and Godzilla. I'd love to see them join forces again. That would be amazing. But I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think about all that?
Actually, I thought of something. Because I'm actually kind of a terrible fan. I haven't actually checked the Monarch website, but like, what does it say about King Ghidorah?
It said that. Oh God, I spent so much time looking at the Mothra one that I can't remember what King Ghidorah said. Let me look it up really quick. Um,
Look at it too.
let's see. Hopefully, it lets me click on King Ghidorah's. It says King Ghidorah is his description is from the Hydra to the Rainbow Serpent. Myth was the compass that led us to the resting place of the three-headed Titan, a name unspoken through millennia of whispered nightmares, a living extinction event named the One Who Is Many. We call it Monster Zero. So I don't know about you, but based on that description, he sounds like the big bad to me,
Yeah, probably.
for sure.
Because what I was thinking is like back to the GMK thing and how they're talking about Titans. Like, what if King Ghidorah has been buried in the earth for who knows how long? What if he
Hmm.
is still extraterrestrial?
Right. I think that would be I think it would be really cool if they explored that. Like I would really enjoy that. So I just went and looked at Rodan's. His description is within a monarch containment facility atop the active Isla de Mona volcano, I hope that I pronounced that right. A mysterious titan lies in pyrostasis within the restless magma. The legends speak of it as the fire demon or the one born of fire, but a simpler name echoes through the ancient temples of volcanically active regions, and that name being Rodan. So, um, I mean, it's clear in the trailer that at some point Rodan is kind of an antagonist as well. But I mean, if you look back at Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Godzilla and Rodan were both antagonists until Mothra came along and was just like, "Hey, we need to kick Ghidorah's ass together," you know.
And not even
So
then, they decided to join forces after Mothra was just getting her ass kicked.
right, right, they kind of probably felt like asshats after that, and they were like, maybe we should do something. So I hope that doesn't have to happen this time around because I'm going to be really pissy if Mothra is used as cannon fodder yet again. Um, but we'll have to see. Like I'm legit curious to see what happens with that. Now,
Oh,
I
hang
love.
on.
What was that?
One thing about Rodan, like, have you seen all the? Oh, it's Fire Rodan. It's gonna be Fire Rodan. What are your thoughts on that? Because like I hope not.
Um, well, we don't see him using any projectile weapons other than his sonic boom, so I really don't get the vibe that it's going to be the same thing as Fire Rodan as we see in the Heisei Godzilla films. I really think they're probably going to connect him back to the original as much as possible. The fact that he's simply on fire, well, I mean, if people want to call that Fire Rodan, then let them, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess it was just kind of bugging me a little bit. Like, just because a monster's on fire doesn't make that monster fire, whatever their name is.
Right. Oh my god, can we talk about people thinking Mothra larva was Gamera?
Oh god.
Like, can
I don't even know how you can see that because no, that's not a turtle face. You
I
should
mean,
know I have a turtle.
if you look at the trailer very closely, if you watch that scene, you can see her insect legs kind of like in the
Yeah,
shadow. So last I checked, Gamera did not have 6 legs, you know.
yeah.
So
And
so
anyone who's seen, like, she looks more like a standard caterpillar
mhm.
now. And like anyone who's seen a standard caterpillar should know better, I guess.
Right, right. Well, I think it's interesting because I was thinking about this yesterday, but we get to see more of Godzilla and Mothra's face in the trailer more so than the others. And I mean, if you look at both of them, they both have a lot of personality to their expressions, you know. And looking at the Mothra larva, you can clearly tell that I mean, she doesn't look ominous in any way. She looks docile. At least to me, she did.
Yeah,
So,
she definitely doesn't look like I'm gonna kill you all, and she shouldn't.
right. Um. So. So yeah. Um. Oh, I was gonna read Mothra's description too, because it's like the most beautiful description in the universe.
Read it again because I've already watched your video where you.
I'm going to so read it again because damn it, it's Mothra. Anyway, from erased Nazca lines to the hidden temple of the moth, the name Mothra is woven throughout the most secret mythologies of our planet. The folklore and fairy tales tell of a winged creature of blinding light, an angel of the clouds whose godlike luminescence has the power to shatter the sky. I think that's such a cool description.
It is.
Um, And we kind of get to see the I mean, toward the end of the trailer, and I'm surprised nobody really mentioned this until I actually posted something about it. I was like, oh my god, we kind of get to see Mothra's power. Like, hello, people. Um, granted, you can't really see her because the light is so blinding that it just looks like
A
sun and
light.
wind happening. Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, peeps, this be Mothra's power. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. On the subject of Mothra, here's a question for you: should or should she not have beam weapons?
Beam weapons. Um, well, it sounds like I mean, it sounds like that her bioluminescent ability can be used to create projectile weapons of some sort. I mean, they're called God rays. So I'm wondering if she can actually focus them and use their destructive ability in like maybe a physical, more of a physical way. I would have no objection to that because I think that Mothra usually is underpowered anyway. It'd be nice to see her do more than just flutter scales around and hope that something doesn't blow her up, you know? So, like, I would like her to have some offensive ability. I think that would be really cool. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, the same. Like, I think I like Mothra the most in the Heisei trilogy.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, I'm really dramatic today. I can't help it. Um, I mean, I don't get me wrong. As much as I love the Mothra trilogy, I don't expect her to have like I don't expect her to be like Super Saiyan Mothra in this. Like, I, I don't expect her to, have 30 different types of beam weapons for the every occasion possible. But I would like her to be more of a force than she has been over the past 15 years, let's just say.
Yeah. Like, the way she beat Gigan in Final Wars was pretty badass, but, like, she could have beat him easier if she had more offensive capabilities.
Exactly. And arguably she had to die while doing it, and we all know how I feel about her dying all the time. It's just getting old. So, granted, if you look at the final end credits of Godzilla Final Wars, people would argue that, oh, maybe she is alive because she flew back home. But yeah, like I just think, to me, based on what the director has been saying and what other people have been saying in the interviews, each of these monsters are going to be extremely powerful and volatile in their own way. So I'm hoping that all of them will be formidable in some fashion.
Yeah.
And I think the next thing we should discuss with regard to Mothra would be, should she have fairies or priestesses? And should the Mothra song happen? You already know my answer to this question, but I would like to hear what you have to say about that. Don't be afraid.
Well,
If you think that it shouldn't be included, just say so.
okay. Well, if there is no Mothra song whatsoever, I will be severely disappointed with the movie. Um,
Oh my god, yes. Okay, good.
no, I think there should be like a Shobijin type of thing, or maybe even Elias type, but I don't know.
I agree. I
There
don't know
should
how
be
they
something.
Yeah, I don't know how they would explain 8-inch tall women, but like if they decide to veer away from the whole fairy concept, I'm hoping they at least have like maybe Mothra has like two female followers who are twins
Yeah, like
that are
priestesses.
like yeah, that are like life sized, so that would be acceptable to me. I would love to hear the Mothra song. I would love to hear an adaptation of it because it's been what 15 years since we've heard in an adaptation of the Mothra song. I think we're long overdue for that. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Maybe even Sacred Springs too.
Oh, yes. I love that song so much. It would be wonderful. Well, we hear or we see that there's going to be a lot of classic music in it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to remember if Akira Ifukube composed Sacred Springs. I know Yuji Koseki composed the original Mothra song. I think
Uh,
Ifukube did. So it's very possible that we will hear it. So I think that would be phenomenal. Just
mhm.
yes.
I'm googling it.
Yes, please find it because I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but I think I'm trying. I don't know. Have they released the runtime of the movie yet? I don't think they have.
I haven't seen anything.
Okay, so I'm hoping that actually this movie is longer than the first Godzilla film. Mostly because if you're introducing four monsters and then the stories behind all four of them, it's going to require some decent screen time in order to pull that off, in order to provide ample explanation for everything, you know?
And Sacred Springs was composed by Ifukube.
Yes. And have not lost my touch yet. Very good. Um so yes, we're gonna clearly get some classic music. I guess my question for you, what other classic Godzilla related music would you like to hear?
Hmm. I would actually like to hear an updated version of like the main title of Destroy All Monsters.
Ooh, that would be nice. I like that. We haven't heard an adaptation of that song, I don't think, since Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Whoops. Just like quaked my camera. Because I think they used that same song in a scene in that film, so we haven't heard that in a very long time. So that would be really cool.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, I'd like to hear the 62, 64 Godzilla theme,
Mm,
but actually updated because like we got to hear it in Shin Godzilla and I was so oh, but I'd
I
love to hear
know,
it updated.
right? I was literally flailing when it was in Shin Godzilla. It was pretty awesome. Um, I hope we get to hear some sort of adaptation of the Monster Zero March. I think that would be really awesome.
Oh, that's a requirement.
I know, right? I don't think we've heard that one in a long time either. What was the
No.
last film that used that?
It's on Final Wars soundtrack. I think they might have used it in the end credits. I'm not sure.
I know it was on that. Before that, I think the last time that it was in an actual film, it may have been Godzilla versus Biollante. Because I remember I just watched it the other day, and I knew that they used it, but I was like, oh God, yeah, that's right there. It's in that like military preparation scene. Because there's so many of those, in almost every movie. Um, so I think upon watching the trailer for King of the Monsters, I'm feeling confident that it's not going to focus solely on the military perspective, because it seems like every single Godzilla movie we've seen over the past 20 years, the entire focus has been on characters who have some sort of affiliation with the military, right? So now it sounds like that there's going to be more of a focus on scientists. What do you think about that?
That sounds like it'll be interesting, and also sounds like I won't hear the end of it if there's like weird science being used in the movie because yeah, that's one of the drawbacks of having a boyfriend who is a scientist and likes
Oh,
to scrutinize everything.
like certain things like, oh, that's not accurate. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, like he'll still watch the movies and enjoy them, but it gets tiring sometimes.
Okay, well, that's why we call it science fiction, right? Because, well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some embellishment. We have to remember that these characters are as much rooted in fantasy and horror as they are in actual science. So,
Yeah. Actually, it seems like it might be a little bit of a callback to the original Godzilla because it focused sort of primarily on Dr. Sarazawa.
Yes. So we get a focus on him, and we also get focus on Vera Farmiga's character. I'm trying to remember, Dr. Russell, I think her name is. Um, which I'm super excited about because uh, I love me some Vera Farmiga. She's such an amazing actress. So I'm hoping that. I mean, obviously, it's clear that she's going to play a pretty huge role. It's clear to see that her daughter is going to play a pretty huge role. So, um, what do you think about the human characters that we've seen up until this point?
Oh, I just remembered um, Millie Bobby Brown's character.
Hmm.
I would like to see her, like, sort of somewhat directly involved with Mothra, or like having maybe not communication abilities, but like some sort of connection.
Yes, I agree with that. I don't know, I've seen a lot of people saying that she's gonna kind of take on maybe some Mickey Sagusa qualities, which I think that would be really awesome and a huge nod to probably one of the most awesome characters that we've had in Godzilla films. Um, but I mean, we see in the later Heisei series that Mickey not only has a connection to Godzilla, but she also has some sort of connection to Mothra, right? So I think based on that scene where she's like almost physically interacting with Mothra, I feel like it's pretty safe to say that that could happen, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point about Mickey. I actually wouldn't mind seeing an actual like successor to Mickey connected with Godzilla as well.
Hmm. I mean, that seems to be a really classic thing that happens in a lot of monster films. There's some sort of person who has some sort of connection to one of them, you know?
Yeah. Let's see what else is there. I don't know. Do you have any other immediate ideas?
Let's see. Um, 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 I like I'm really interested to see what the whole world view will be on monsters in this film. Because I know a lot of okay, I need to rant for a second. I know a lot of Godzilla fans are going to be like, "Oh my God, we want more than 5 fleeting minutes of Godzilla, and I want nothing but monster brawls and blah 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 blah." And you know what? I do want monster brawls too. Like I want to see battling, I want to see beams, I want to see everything, you know?
Total mayhem.
Right, right. But I really, really want wholesome story. Like as much as I loved Godzilla 2014, I I mean, I found the story not as strong as it could have been because I felt like the main character was a little bit two dimensional, but that's just my perspective. It's probably my tire of every film focusing on some sort of military related character. I mean, you can only do so much with military themed characters, right? So I'm hoping in this film we get to see more dialogue, more character development. I want to see the characters interacting with the monsters a little bit more, which it looks like we're going to get to see that. I'm hoping that we get to see some political conversations like, well, what are we going to do about the kaiju? Like, what are we like? Are we still viewing Godzilla as being a hero, or is he a villain, or maybe an anti-hero or something? You know, I'm really hoping that we get to see a little bit more complexity in that department. I think Kong Skull Island did a great job with that.
Yeah.
um, and I mean, we clearly know that this is going to pick up where, well, it's a sequel not only to Godzilla but also Kong Skull Island now. So I'm hoping that we get to see more of that complexity. Like, believe me, I want battles, but I want some good believable characters too. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am all for a better human story. Actually, before I forget it, have you seen the speculations going around that Charles Dance's character is the old version of Tom Hiddleston's.
Yes, I did see that, and I think that would be really awesome. Like it would present even more continuity,
Yeah.
between all of the films. And truthfully, in most of the Godzilla films that we've been exposed to, there is little to no um continuity, really. Like in the Heisei Godzilla
Mm.
films, that's probably the most continuity that we've gotten in Godzilla films. And then of course the um Kiryu saga, where like Godzilla uh against Mechagodzilla and then Tokyo SOS. Those were pretty, they had some good continuity to them too.
Plus, in SOS, can't remember his name, but
Oh, Hiroshi
he was,
Koizumi's character. Hmm.
yeah, who was in Mothra.
Oh, Professor. I'll just say Professor Fancy Sweaters because he wears fancy sweaters.
Professor
So,
Fancy Sweaters.
um, but like, yeah, that was like those movies established some really good continuity, and I really think that I think that that has worked against Godzilla movies in the past. Honestly, that lack of continuity, and I think that's why a lot of Godzilla fans don't have any investment in human characters because, um, well, if we're not used to it, why would we want it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was Chujo.
Yes, Chucho. Okay, yes. Okay, I
Yeah.
remember now. Honestly, the most memorable thing I have about that film, other than Mothra being amazing, is the fact that I had a super duper huge crush on his nephew. Is that his nephew? Noboru Kaneko's character,
I think.
the technician Jujo. I think he was his
Was
nephew.
he the uncle, or was the younger guy the uncle to the kid?
I think okay. I think the kid was technician Jujo's nephew, and then technician Jujo was Professor Jujo's nephew as well.
Okay, so it's just a bunch of nephews. Okay.
Yeah, like it was like I found the family dynamics a little confusing in that film, not gonna lie. If I ever do a review about it, I will be sure to mention that.
Yeah.
Um but I loved that continuity. I also in the Heisei series, I loved how Miki Sagusa created continuity. I love how uh the of General Aso created or is it Aso, something like that, created continuity. I pronounce it Aso because why not? Um who else? There's another character in the Heisei Godzilla films that created continuity.
Um.
Oh. Oh, he he like oversaw the Super X2 in Biolante and then piloted the Super X3 in Destroya. What's his name?
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen both.
Major Karaki? I think that was his name, something like that. I should know his name because he is actually a character in my fan fiction sometimes. So, Donny, get your shit together. Anyway, um, but yeah, we do see whether they're major characters or minor characters, we get to see that continuity, which I think is extremely valuable. So,
Yeah.
um, hopefully, like it seems like there's going to be some good continuity in these films. So I'm checking out our chat box on our live stream, and Godzilla Kiru has been commenting. By the way, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. We know that our channel is small, so I don't expect us to have a lot of people watching at any given point until it takes off a little bit. But Godzilla Kiru mentions Emiko from the original Godzilla versus original Godzilla film appears in Destroya. Yes, that one counts as well. We get to see that very crucial connection back to the original Godzilla because that film dealt heavily with that that important continuity, right?
Yeah.
So, so yeah, that was quite a treat. That was nice. So, is there anything you would like to mention, speculate about?
Let's talk about roaring.
Okay, then sounds, right?
Yep. What are these creatures going to sound like? Because I think if it's going to be the same as Godzilla 2014, it can be similar, but not like directly Toho's recordings.
Right. Well, I was watching a Mike Doherty interview. It was like a panel interview with some else. I know Millie Bobby Brown was there and Vera Farmiga were there. But somebody asked that question of about like especially King Ghidorah, like what's King Ghidorah going to sound like? And I recall him mentioning that he's going to sound like classic King Ghidorah. So probably Showa King Ghidorah. I'm hoping. Well, I'm going to venture a guess that they're going to put their, technical spin on his roar. They're going to make it a little bit different. But I feel like I think most of them are going to connect back to the classic roars for sure.
Yeah. Like for me with King Ghidorah, yeah, I definitely want it to be based on the classic roar because yeah, in the Heisei, like they wanted to give some variation of Rodan's roar to everyone. Batra got it, King Ghidorah got it. I don't know who else might have got it.
Right. Yeah, everybody got it. So I'm hoping they branch away from that. I think they probably will, but
Yeah.
um
Like I really like King Ghidorah's 2001 roar, which was basically just the updated Showa roar with
yeah,
some like mystical qualities.
right.
Maybe not so much mystical qualities for this one, but like the Showa roar with more of a menacing uh, gargliness, I guess.
Right. I also liked his roar in Mothra 3. Also, granted it didn't use the classic roar. It was kind of a variation on Heisei King Ghidorah's roar, but it sounded more obviously it sounded more intimidating, more scary. I really hope that they capitalize on something similar at least for this film. I don't know, when I hear the Showa King Ghidorah roar, that doesn't scream intimidating giant hydra to me. So I'm guessing they're probably going to make it sound more growly, more
Yeah,
sinister.
more low pitched.
Or yeah, or more low pitched. I think that would definitely be fitting for sure. Yes. For Rodan, I feel like they're probably gonna go with classic Rodan. His roar.
Yeah, I'd say 1956 specifically and build off that one
Hmm.
because it did change in 1964.
Yeah, it did. There were certain roars that were pretty different. Yeah.
Mm. Mothra has kind of stayed the same mostly.
I think the only time Mothra's roar changed was in the first Mothra movie. Mothra Leo had kind of more of a,
Yeah, it was
I don't know,
more of a, how do you describe it?
it was like more of a slow paced roar. It sounded a little bit deeper too, probably because they were trying to, be like, oh, this Mothra is male, so it should be puberty Mothra.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they're probably going to keep Mothras the same too. I'd be very, very surprised if they changed it
Yeah.
because it's changed so little. So, any other thoughts?
I don't know. I think we're running out of things to talk about.
I feel like we've covered most of the bases so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've.
And we did start on the tangent of the human story and then got sidetracked, I think.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we might as well do this for a full hour. We have 13 minutes left. So,
Yeah.
um, let's talk a little bit more about the human story. So, what did you want to mention with regard to that?
Um. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a person of simple tastes when it comes to human story. I just want it to be good and the human characters to be uh interesting.
Hey, I
Like
completely agree.
even Shin Godzilla level of interesting. Like yeah, it took me a couple viewings to like appreciate the human story, but once I saw it the second time, I think it was mostly because there were so many subtitles on the screen the first time. I was a bit overwhelmed, so I couldn't really see how the people were like emoting the
Right,
first time.
right.
But
Well, I think for Shin Godzilla, initially I was overwhelmed at first because there were so many characters.
oh
But
yeah,
like you said, after a few viewings, I actually started understanding the character dynamics a little bit more, and I understood why the characters were done the way they were. Because truthfully, that film didn't focus on simply the characters, but the situation. The situation was almost a character in of itself, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, well, I mean, we clearly see other characters returning. We see Sally Hawkins's character. We see Dr. Sarazawa. We see. Wait, I think those are the only two returning characters. Oh, we see Tom Hiddleston's older. Well, that's speculation.
maybe.
Yeah, we see his character at an older age. So, I mean, we do get to see some other characters. I don't. We're not going to see. Uh, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character again. I don't think we're going to see Elizabeth Olsen's character again. It seemed as though they were just exclusively for that first movie. So,
Good
yeah.
point.
Yeah, right. I agree. As much as I especially love Elizabeth Olsen, I really think they could have done better with making those characters
Interesting.
ones, yeah, interesting, or at least someone that we can connect with in some way. Like, I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but I really felt like they did some pretty troubling writing for her character. Like, for example, her like leaving her kid with some person on the bus. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, believe me, I'm not like a kid person. I don't have kids, but I'd be like, we're leaving and you're coming with me.
Yeah.
So, so I hope that they do improve with their writing a little bit this time around. I think the fact that Mike Doherty is a pretty huge Godzilla fan himself, I really think that I'm holding out hope that this will be one of the most balanced Godzilla films that we'll get to see. Yeah. So any
Yeah.
other hopes and desires for characters in this film?
Hmm. Not really any that we haven't already discussed.
I think that I mean I feel like our conversation has been pretty comprehensive so far. So um Godzilla Kiru on our chat says, I want to see more of Graham and Sarah Zhao. Dr. Graham is Sally Hawkins' character, right? I can't believe I forgot her name. She clearly was a character that needed a lot more screen time in the first movie, and I was really upset that she didn't get more screen time. So I'm really hoping that in this movie they actually capitalize on her character a lot more. So
Yeah. Was she the one with the? It's been a while since I've seen it.
she is she's the other character that was always with Dr. Sarazawa. Like I think,
Oh, okay,
did
then
she have
maybe it was
red
that one.
hair? I can't remember. I think she had reddish hair, maybe, um, but I would really like to see more of her. That would be nice
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, one more thing that I'd like to mention about the movie, especially like the monster fight scenes. I would actually like to see it if they are occurring at night.
Right. Oh yeah.
2014 was just too dark.
Like I understand that they wanted it to be as dark and apocalyptic as possible, but you got to be able to see things. Like, come on
Yeah.
now. So I'm hoping that they will lighten up a little bit. Oh, that was funny. Oh, I'm really bad with puns. My coffee has not kicked in yet, by the way. So,
Yeah,
um,
that's bad.
do we have any other hopes for monster battles? Like, what are we looking for? We still got a few minutes left.
I know it happened in Monster Zero, but should Godzilla dance?
Um, um, as much as I love him dancing, I don't know if, like, in the middle of like some serious,
Yeah,
holy
no.
crap, apocalyptic tones, if we should see him like trolloping around, like I think that might, like, people might be like, what the hell is going on? So, um,
Post credit scene.
maybe if they like do like some like funny gag reels at the end or something, they could have something like that. I think that'd be hilarious for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do hope that we get a scene where all of them are battling together. Like I think that would be phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Even if it lasts for only like 5 minutes, that's all I need.
Right, right. Like I like it's kind of my worst nightmare to think that, oh, all of these really cool kaiju are going to be here, but very few of them encounter each other. I will be very saddened by that. So I hope that does not happen. I don't think that will happen, but that's like kind of like worst nightmare in my mind kind of situation of what could go
Oh.
down.
Uh, one more thing on like the monster appearances. Even if it's just for like passing thought, like we've seen this and this monster at this and this location, I would like to see Varan.
I would too. You know, I actually just watched his original movie for the first time ever not long ago. And I mean, I don't think it was as great as like classic Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan films like that, but I
Yeah.
really think that that monster was very inventive and interesting. Like, I really would hope that we get to see him again in some film. That would be awesome
Yeah.
for
We
sure.
were supposed to see him in 2001, but
Right. So, Godzilla fans may hate me for saying this, and that's fine because I love Mothra and I usually get some form of hate for that. I don't sound salty at all whatsoever, right? Um,
hold on,
but
let me get my French fries.
I is like I am. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited about Godzilla versus Kong, but I've never really been hugely invested in Kong as a character, I suppose. And I really hope, like, I don't know if the monster verse is going to end with Godzilla versus Kong or not. I hope it doesn't because I really would like to see more classic kaiju revitalized. Like, I would love to see another adaptation of Biollante. I would love to see Batra. I would love to see um, other classic Showa monsters as well. So I guess it's just a question of what they plan to do after the next film after this one. So hopefully we get to see more. If not, it sounds like Toho is going to be creating their own MonsterVerse, which is going to be pretty nice. So
Yeah.
what do you
One
think
thing
about
I'm
that?
hoping. What?
Oh, sorry, I was asking what you were thinking about that.
Oh, yeah. One thing I'm hoping is it probably won't happen, but like Toho and Legendary making some kind of agreement where maybe Toho will release a movie 1 year, Legendary releases the next year, and then it kind of just like um, swaps years for a Japanese or American Godzilla movie, so the MonsterVerse can continue and whatnot. But it might also bring about fan fatigue, like what we see happening with Star Wars right now. There's so much Star Wars that people are just becoming disinterested, and I don't want that to happen for Godzilla.
Right. I don't want that to happen either. I like see the difference with Star Wars is I think that they're trying to incorporate way too many characters at once and going off in multiple different directions. And I've noticed like in the past, like I mean, this has happened in the Star Trek franchise as well. There's been kind of Star Trek fatigue because they decided to like reboot the movies and they decided to like I think that with Godzilla, since the monsters themselves are the central figures, I think we probably won't have to worry about that as much. Not to mention, I think our fandom isn't as divisive and clicky as the Star Wars fandom. Although, don't get me wrong, ours has its flaws too. But
Yeah.
I think that I really think that we won't have to worry about that as much as other franchises would have to worry about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, as bad as the Godzilla fandom can get, it's not as bad as the Star Wars fandom can get.
Right.
But I don't know, maybe even some kind of deal where like every 5 years the movie making rights switch. So Toho makes like 2 or 3 Godzilla movies, Legendary makes 2 or 3, and then just swips.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. I think that would be perfect. So, suffice it to say, though, I think we're living in it's a really good time to be a Godzilla fan right now.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of amazing things happening, and I'm more excited than I have been in years. In fact, I've been so excited that I'm actually writing fan fiction again, and I haven't done that in like 5 years. So,
Oh, nice.
so like I'm hoping that we get more. I also heard, like, if we look at things beyond Godzilla, I heard that there's going to be a Netflix Ultraman series.
Oh yeah, based on the manga.
Yeah, like I am really excited about that because I love me some Ultraman.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I
I don't
have
know. Well, go
5
ahead.
oh, sorry. Yeah, I have 5 volumes of the manga, and it's pretty good so far. It's an interesting take.
Good. Well, I hope that it is as successful as all of the other stuff that's been coming out too. Now, regarding Gamera, I have literally no idea what's happening with Gamera. I know we got that trailer that came out of what 2 or 3 years ago or something.
No, that wasn't really a trailer. It was more a proof of concept.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
sad to
don't know
me.
if they had to do it to like keep the copyright for Gamera or whatnot, but kind of
Mm,
lame.
I know. I would really like to see more Gamera for sure. So, all right. Well, we should probably wrap this up. So, thank you, Ellen, for joining me. Do you want to like do a shameless plug for anything for sites, anything like that?
I don't know, my own YouTube Kiryu is kind of dead, but I'm hoping to revitalize that soon-ish. Trademark?
Yes, I also have a YouTube, Donny Winter. Go check that out. Uh, I've not been posting as much as I should be myself, so I'm hoping that that can change. And I know we both have a lot of really high hopes for Kaiju Galaxy going in the future. I know we've had some concerns about the original message board because Tappa Talk is picking up Zeta boards. So hopefully we'll be able to, yeah, thumbs down for that, right? So I'm hoping that like we'll be able to create a new message board for Kaiju Galaxy, but still keep the original as an archive. That would be really wonderful. Um, so otherwise, check out our Facebook page. Our Facebook page, Kaiju Galaxy, has grown considerably over the past couple weeks because we've been showing a lot of Godzilla King of the Monsters stuff. And also check out our website, which is still in the process of being built. kaijugalaxy.wordpress.com. So I think that's all of my shameless plugs. Is that all of your shameless plugs, Ellen?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And share your thoughts in the comment section below. We'd be happy to read what you have to say about Godzilla King of the Monsters. You guys have a good rest of your day. Bye.